Jim, welcome to the podcast. It's really good having you here.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
Okay, Jim, you heard a little of my introduction of you. I have got to go back to January 12th, 2025. Your life changed considerably with your book, Inner Excellence. What does that date mean to you, sir?
It's a big day. Yeah, my life's changed greatly for sure. Um, Initially, so that was quite a week for me. That week, kind of set the setting for everyone. Inner Excellence was first published by McGraw-Hill in 2009, so 16 years earlier, and had sold maybe. I never tracked it. I knew my goal is to be a New York Times bestseller, and it never was that at that time. So I would just tell people I don't know the sales, which I didn't. That I knew I wasn't a New York Times bestselling author.
Yeah.
Um, my guess, I've imagined it to be 8 or 9 thousand over the 15, 16 years.
Okay.
And so January 1 to 11, I looked it up. We sold 10 books. And then the next 3 weeks sold 200,000. So yeah, it was that in itself was very different. Several hundred interviews since then. But that week was such an intense week for me in so many ways. Um, I was there to do an inner excellence retreat, and my mother was dying. She actually died. It was an answer to prayer. So she's in heaven now, but she died on the 16th. And I found out 45 minutes before. ESPN was there at the place I was staying with their camera crew. And just before I got interviewed, I found that out. But not only was it an intense week because my mom was dying, but also I had just written a book called The Best Possible Life on the spiritual life. And it ended up being a summary of inner excellence targeted at the seventh grade reading level. It's actually getting re-released by Hachette Books March 31st. It's called The Best Possible Life, How to Live with Deep Contentment, Joy, and Confidence, no matter what. And I'm walking around downtown Dallas on a somber Sunday with mom dying, and business was slow. Life was kind of lonely. I look up at this skyscraper and I see the skyscraper, and I felt the question come to mind: would you rather own that skyscraper straight out for whatever hundreds of millions of dollars it's worth, or would you rather have understood and written the book, The Best Possible Life? And I thought, I wouldn't trade it for hundreds of millions of dollars. I would rather have understood and written that book. And so I thought, well, that's pretty cool. At least you got that.
Yes.
And then several hours later, my life changed. Yeah.
So, for those who do not know, A.J. Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles was spotted by the cameras reading this book. And, Jim, I remember when this was happening, the immediate reaction was, well, I'll be darned. That guy doesn't care enough about the game in order to be engaged. And that was the negative reaction from so many, wasn't it? And he just reframed that and said, everybody, just relax. And it was I think, a really great moment for all of us not to rush to judgment, but that AJ Brown was getting his mind right. Yes.
It's so funny. I'm in Toronto now. I actually went to Game 6 of the ALCS Mariners and Blue Jays. I had multiple Blue Jay clients last year, and I'm from Seattle, so it was pretty neat. A friend of mine flew out for it. But I'm in this cafe yesterday, and I had a UConn men's basketball shirt on because I spoke to them last week, and he said, "UConn, that's a long way from here," and or something about that. How do you get that? And I told him I just spoke to them, and he said, "What are you, some sort of a motivational speaker?" And I said, "Oh, well, I just wrote a book that got popular because a football player I read it during a game." He's like, "You talking about the Eagles?" I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "That guy, he shouldn't have been reading that book." And I said, "How come?" He's like, "He should be paying attention to the game." I said, "Well, what if it made him play better?" He's like, something, "I don't think so," or something. And I said, "Well, they didn't win the Super Bowl." And so it's kind of funny.
Right. Well, hey, I didn't know you're in Toronto. What was it like last night? That had to be electric. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It was great. Such a gift to be there. The miracles that God has done in the last 10 months since January 21st, January 12th was it's just been so incredible. And I led an inner excellence retreat here in the Niagara region, about an hour and 20 minutes from here. Beautiful region for actually a former Blue Jay, played for the Blue Jays in 2024. And then I have friends here in Toronto. I'm at their condo right now, And I was like, oh my gosh, game six is when I'm in Toronto, when I'm going to be there. I haven't been here for probably 15 years.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and so amazing the timing. And so yeah, it was wonderful to be a part of that. I love being a part of I love sports because it makes you face your fears. And you're going to get really nervous and it's intense, especially if you're a participant or a coach. And then you get to grow. Especially if you face those feelings that are uncomfortable, then you get to grow.
So that leads right into the first question. I mean, you were there. You've coached world class athletes in numerous sports. But let's take baseball for example. Bottom of the ninth, down by one, full count. I mean, how do the truly elite performers stay present and stay focused? For me, I'm thinking I can think of that moment in Pee Wee baseball, Jim. Even now, I'm 58, and the fear, the fear that I felt, I can still remember the feeling. How do these elite performers do it? How do you coach them in this way?
Yeah. So the question is, I think most people realize you need to focus on the process, not the result, to play extraordinarily or be your best in anything. So, but how do you do that? That's the big question. And so with Inner Excellence, we do that by clarifying how we want to live, how we want to feel, who we want to become, what our life purpose is, why we're doing what we do. Because if you don't have a bigger purpose than the result, the transaction you're going for, then the transaction, if that's your biggest purpose or biggest goal, dream, like it was for my life, then you're going to be as stable as however that does. And when so much is out of your control, now you're going to be really, really nervous, stressed, anxious, etc. So we need a bigger pursuit than a transaction.
So, Jim, when you were writing this book, I mean, if you now in your career, let me back up. I'll edit all this out. So, Jim, your role right now. I mean, have you always had this level of what I would call a more sophisticated view of the mindset and performance? I mean, how did you get here? Really, what is your background that brought you here?
Um, well, I was a very, if you can believe it, even more self-centered person than I am now. Teenager, extremely self-centered, um, and yeah, I never thought about writing a book. I just was obsessing about being a superstar. NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. It just depended on what season it was. That's
Hmm.
the star I'm going to be. And so getting drafted by the Cubs was a dream come true. Played 5 years in the minors, but then when I lost it, felt like I lost everything. I had a single story for my life, and when it didn't work out, I was completely lost, devastated. And that's the danger of a single story. And so that's why it's so crucial to realize you have your goals and dreams, but are they the best things for you? Are they even good for you? You don't know.
Hmm.
What we do know is that that's what you really want. But if your goal is to play, if your dream is to play center court at Wimbledon, win Wimbledon, is that a good thing for you? On the surface, it seems like it would be. It would give me theoretically really good life circumstances. But is really good life circumstances good for you? Could be the worst thing for you. And when I say worst, what I mean is the path to live an extraordinary life, a life filled with deep contentment, joy, and confidence, a life where you have amazing experiences, deep, enriching relationships, where you're learning and growing and making a difference in the world. What does it take? What circumstances does it take to get you to have a heart that has a life like that?
There's so many follow-ups on that, but I've heard you talk about the heart, and you even wrote about it, obviously. But you're right, the heart is the key to extraordinary performance. What role does that play? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, Western culture is obsessed with transactions. It's got to get more money, more possessions, more achievements, better looks, status, and that's what I've obsessed about most of my life. And but if you want to live an extraordinary life where you have inner peace and inner strength, then you got to go beyond the surface, and you got to go beyond the mind. Even we use the mind to train the heart. And when I say heart, I mean your spirit, your will. I use those three words interchangeably, and along with soul, the deepest part of you, where your greatest fears are and your greatest dreams are. And that's where we find out what you love most and fear most. It's in your heart. And when you're squeezed, it's just like my friend Darren McMahon's performance coach for the Giants when they won their World Series 3 out of 6 years. He always likes to say, when you squeeze an orange, what's going to come out? It's going to be orange juice every single time, right? You're never going to get apple juice or grapefruit juice. And that's how it works with the human heart, is that when we're squeezed, when we're put under pressure, that's when we find out what's in our heart. It's not in the good times, because then you have this false sense of peace. It's when things are really, really crazy and out of control and there's fear. Now we find out what's inside of you. And that's what we need to train.
That's a great point. You're right. It's never during the times when things are going things are going well. You know, one of the things, just for background for you, Jim, is as I mentioned to you before we started recording, I'm a senior VP of sales. I've been an executive for a lot of years. And when I was younger, 20s and 30s, 40s, I was so ambitious. I was chasing the next rung on the ladder. And I think a lot of people listening to the podcast are in the same boat that I was. And if I can lose my ego for a second, probably still drives me. But you make the point that most of us have it backwards, that trying to be successful in order to be happy is not the recipe for this. And I will tell you that that used to be my recipe, chasing the next thing, thinking that it'll bring happiness. I never quite got it. Maybe for an hour, but it never quite was fulfilling. And so what are you hearing me try to say based on your own experience?
Well, what happens in human experience is we have these desires and these cravings, and we always want to feel good. Um, for example, if you give me a choice, poked in the eye, sit in the hot tub, I've never chose poke in the eye. It's always comfort. We always looking for a more comfortable life. And what happens is we keep chasing our tail, pursuing happiness, which I define as a positive temporary feeling based on what's happening. And it's an endless empty pursuit because it's circumstance based, and we're looking for better transactions to have a better life. And most people, it's very, very common to think the ultimate would be to have enough money where I can do what I want, when I want, how I want, with who I want.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate. And I'm sure I've thought about that a lot myself, probably even this morning. But that is not the ultimate. What we really want when we think of freedom is we want to live a meaningful, fulfilling life where we feel fully alive, where we have a purpose that's very inspiring, and we're making a difference in the world, and having these amazing experiences with deep, enriching relationships. That's the kind of life that I think every human wants in some level, and that's what's possible. What stops us is this lack of self-awareness. For one, we're the easiest person to deceive is yourself and myself. And so I've been deceiving myself for a long time. I'm tired of it. It's understanding the heart. Like, what do I want most? People come to me for these better transactions. I'm a performance coach, and I can likely get you better transactions. You want to win, I could probably help you do it. In fact, the majority of my clients, since we started 15, 20 years ago, have the best year of their careers, or at least the best year in the last 5 years, our first year together. So they've done really, really well. They're coming to me like, oh, okay, you can help me perform better. But what I think of my role is I help people clarify what they want most, and I help them pursue it directly. They get it by pursuing it directly. Because you think you want this to win Wimbledon, or you think you want to get a promotion or become CEO or whatever it is. Yeah, that's what you think you want. But what you really want is, it's not $1 million or 1 million followers. You want what you think that will give you. And in general, what most people think it will give them is an easier, more comfortable life, which will give them more freedom to do what they want, how they want. And but that just leads to emptiness.
Right.
You need a purpose and a clear path and how to live a fully engaged life, heart, mind, and body, unattached to what you're trying to do. And that's what inner excellence is.
Yeah, really good. Really good. You know, I want to see if you can help me understand this. So, what you're saying, I can absolutely see that for myself and other, what I'll call more corporate athletes or leaders out there in the business world. It doesn't have to just be in the business world, but I'm in an area of a athlete. You know, these top 0.01% of baseball players or golfers, whatever. without divulging any confidentiality, uh, how have you been able to work with a athlete and say, I know what the transaction is. Example, you want to hit a home run, but how do you help them reframe it? I'm really intrigued by that. I've never thought of it the way you're serving it up.
Well, let's say you really, really want to be, it's really, really important. Like, Jim, I really need to achieve this goal. Well, the more important it is to you, the more important it is that you figure out, well, what does it take for you to perform your best? And to perform your best, now we're getting to things that are, there's a lot of common characteristics with anybody performing their best at anything,
Hmm.
which two of them I call a clear mind and unburdened heart. Um, and the three biggest obstacles, the three great obstacles that I see in performance and in life: overthinking, negative thinking, and self-conscious thinking. Overthinking, just way too many thoughts. We have a conscious mind that gets in the way too much. Our biggest challenge is ourselves, and especially our ego that's always comparing, always threatened, never satisfied. And um, anxiety is a mind with too many thoughts from too many concerns. So greatly reducing the thoughts is so key, so we can let our subconscious mind take over. That's where the power is. Um, and you think, if when you're at your best, like, are you thinking like about everything that you're doing? Like, you're playing golf. Okay, where's my elbow go? And you're not thinking about all these things. You're having fun when you're at your best. Generally, there's a
Right, right.
sense of enjoyment and excitement, and that positive energy is so crucial. In fact, joy, which I define as a deep sense of well-being, freedom, and gratitude, independent of circumstance, an inner buoyancy and delight that comes from sacrificial love. Joy is really a foundational pillar for self-control and self-mastery. And so overthinking is a huge obstacle. The second one is negative or judgmental thinking, laying down a negative. I define judgment as laying down a negative verdict about self, circumstances, or others. Most people, and most of my life, has spent majority of the time in judgment, without realizing it. It's just like breathing. So many thoughts, just don't even know that, oh, that's a judgment, that's a judgment, that's a judgment, and laying down another negative verdict. And I'm not saying that so you become a better person or more religious or anything like that. I'm saying, I'm a performance coach. If you want to perform better in anything, judgment takes away curiosity. Laying down negative verdict about others, self, or circumstances takes away curiosity, creativity. We lose the ability to adapt to any situation. So we really want to learn how to live in non-judgmental awareness, and in the selflessness that leads to fearlessness.
Hmm.
And the third one is self-consciousness is a huge, massive obstacle. What I mean by self-consciousness is concern for what other people think. And it's such a huge obstacle. Lack of freedom, lack of freedom to have fun, to just do your best, to play like a kid, to whether you're playing the piano or playing a sport or anything that you're doing. To We need creativity to be great, and creativity is very closely related to a sense of joy. And so those three obstacles are huge. And those really come from a self-referential life, looking at the world through what we need, what is every human does, is look at the world through the lens of my life.
Hmm.
I've never seen the world through your lens, and you've never seen it through mine. Every single human on the planet has a lens through which they see the world, and that lens is clouded by their pain and wounds and fears and the beliefs that they created based on how they've interpreted the experiences they've had. And so inner excellence is about expanding what you believe is possible every day.
That's good. That's really good. I've always believed that whenever I am stuck and I'm in a what I would call more, Jim, a funk where I'm just off, when I'm frustrated, if I can think back to those situations, I am oftentimes focused way too much on myself. And as soon as I, either by accident or on purpose, I shift it toward helping someone else, it's amazing. It's just a switch is just flipped, where it's the quickest mindset shift I can ever design for myself. Now, would you agree with that? And what is your research and experience tell you about what I just laid out there?
The greatest human need is love. The greatest fear is rejection. Um, Everything most people do spend their entire lives seeking that love, trying to be accepted, trying to be good enough, trying to do enough, have enough so they can be enough, but it's never enough. And so it's a constant chase your tail obsession, endless treadmill that of trying to be the one that people accept and love through the acronym PALMS: possessions, achievements, looks, money, and status. And that's what most people do. And ironically, the more talent a person has, the more likely they're going to get caught in the vortex of the palms,
Really?
obsessing about these things. Because the most powerful thing anyone can do is surrender to a power greater than themselves.
Hmm.
And but what if you've got a lot of strength on your own? Well, the more you have of any of those palms, the less likely you are to surrender it. If you've got nothing to surrender, then yeah, take it all. If you've got $1 million, it's hard to give up $1 million.
Right.
And so when you're very talented or good looking or have achievements or money, um, the world says that's great. And our greatest need is for love and acceptance. So if the world says it's great, well, I just want more of it. And then if you're able to get more of it, more of those palms, then you're going to get like, oh, okay, I need more love. I'm not accepted enough. I don't feel. You're going to try and get more of that. But the thing is, our satisfaction never keeps up with our craving. And so we're constantly trying to get more of those things, those empty pursuits, because our craving is going to continue to go up and our satisfaction at the same level of whatever we got of what we tried to get is going to go down. And so, but when you're talented, then you can get more of those palms. And then so you think that that's your only, well, it's my skill. So I'm going to try and get more of that.
That reminds me, I coach with a lot of people as well, and I coach a lot of talented individuals. And there are times when I just see them just wrestling with it. And to put it in a faith perspective, I mean, I tell them, you know what? Just give it all to God. Just give it to Him. And you'll be amazed at the feeling of freedom that you have from that, from the act of just giving it to Him. I'd love to know from you, what do you think of that direction or coaching for me to someone who is extremely talented, but they just not moving as fast or getting what they want out of life?
There's a power that um, holds the stars in place and grows the grass. That power is available to all of us to connect with. I mean, everybody has seen, heard about miracles, things that are not logically possible. And miracles happen every day, and great things happen every day. We have to get out of the way. The biggest thing in someone's way is their ego. Well, what happens when when I say ego, I mean the part of your mind always comparing, always threatened,
Right.
never satisfied. Well, the more talent you have, likely the more that's going to be a problem.
Hmm.
And so if you understand what I'm saying here, the ego is the biggest challenge that you face. And if you're more talented, now you have a bigger challenge than the average person. And so it's a bigger hurdle, and many never overcome it. A lot of people, maybe most that are very, very talented, um, unfortunately live empty lives because they get caught up in that pursuit of the world says is great but empty.
Hmm. Everyone, the name of the book is Inner Excellence: Train Your Mind for Extraordinary Performance and the Best Possible Life. I mentioned to you before we started recording, Jim, that I just ordered 3 books for each one of my kids. It's that type of book where I read it and I thought to myself, who else needs this type of message? And I thought of my kids. And so, congratulations on this read. It's a fantastic read. I was going through the entire book and thinking, okay, what would be a quote that I could ask you about? And the one that hit me is by Dr. John Piper, a theologian, and he wrote, you have in your book, O God of wonder, enlarge my capacity to be amazed at what is amazing and end my attraction to the insignificant. So, why did you put that in this book and the correlation to inner excellence?
Yeah, the best possible life, like inner excellence is about living the best possible life. When I was in the desert, I realized, well, at first it was like I just want to write the best book ever written on mental toughness, and I want to be the best performance coach in the world. Then I realized, well, that could be an empty pursuit. What if I help someone become world number one or Olympic gold medalist, but it doesn't make the world a better place? They're a terrible person, and they're filled with anxiety. Like maybe I did a disservice. And so through the research, I realized that your heart is the key to your life. And you can kind of see where your heart's at. When I say heart, I mean your spirit, your will. You see where your heart is at by when you're squeezed, what comes out. And you can think about, well, what do I love most? What do I fear most? What would I worry most about losing? What is making me the most anxious? Regularly made me anxious. Well, that's the status of your heart. And what you love most, that's what's running your life, because you're going to fear most of losing that. And what inner excellence is to help you make sure that what you love most is very empowering, is the most empowering. Um, and I'm not trying to say like inner excellence would never have gotten anywhere if I was like trying to say you should believe this or you should believe what I believe. I just try and help people clarify what they want most and help them get it and help them love most what's most empowering.
It's good. You may have answered part of that question just now, but what was the real reason for why you wrote this book? Why did you do it?
Yeah, I left. I've always felt like I was destined for greatness since I was a little kid. Well, what I thought was greatness,
Mm-hmm.
which is to be a superstar. I'm going to be on the cover of magazines and hitting home runs or catching touchdowns in the NFL. And every girl's going to dream about being with me, and every guy's going to want to be me, and I'm going to be rich and famous. And so
There you go.
I always dreamed about that when I was little. And then getting drafted by the Cubs was a dream come true. But then getting injured and losing it felt like I lost everything. And so I'm driving a truck for FedEx downtown Seattle. Um, I get a job coaching a inner city all boys school team, and it was amazing. So I pursue that route of coaching. We go undefeated, and I coach with the Texas Rangers and coaching the Olympics, and that was incredible. But that ended, and it wasn't the coaching professional baseball wasn't what I thought it was going to be for me. And I was really getting restless. I was a personal trainer in Vancouver, BC, and just trying to. I always thought that I was destined to do something great, and what is that going to be? And so I just remember thinking, well, I get a call from my teammate in pro baseball, my former teammate Ricky Scruggs said, "Can you come to Tucson, Arizona, and help me launch a baseball academy for the weekend?" And I just thought, you know, I really want to make sure that I'm doing something important with my life. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give away the majority of my possessions, including my TV. I'm going to move to the desert. I'm going to live a life of solitude. I'm not leaving until I figure out what I'm going to devote my life to. And I'm going to find something that I'm willing to live and die for. So that, like Henry David Thoreau said, so that when it comes to the end of my life, that I did not find that I fully lived.
That's and what do you think now? I mean, looking back on it now, have you found it? Are you there, Jim? Do you feel good about what you're doing and looking back on that time?
Oh yeah, yeah. Um,
That's
and
good.
did I say that quote right from Henry David Thoreau? I want to make sure
Well,
that I found out that I did fully live, or that I didn't miss out. Um, Suck the marrow out of life. Yeah. So when I think about my life when I was younger, this obsession with these surface level, these temporary achievements, and I know now, I always wanted to feel fully alive and have amazing experiences and deep enriching relationships, learning, growing, making a difference. I always wanted that, but I just thought, okay, best possible life is what I shared with you, this rich, famous guy that everyone loves. And now I realize it's a much different. I mean, it depends on how you call best possible life. I mean, if you call a best possible life to have really, really good circumstances, but be filled with anxiety and fear, well, you could get that from really good circumstances. But if you want to have deep contentment, joy, and confidence no matter what, now we got to find a life that's independent of circumstances and realize that the more that you have, the more chances and the more skilled you are and more achievements and possessions and looks and money and status you have, the harder it is to give it up, to give up your little strength for the strength of the universe. So I realize now the hardest times in my life were training for me. And I'm so grateful that when I was so upset with God, that how could he let this happen to me? You know, I almost had a mental breakdown coming after 5 years of full-time writing and researching the book, had a near mental breakdown coming out of the desert. And all these times when I thought this is the worst thing that could ever happen, these were the most important things for me. And so I'm so grateful. And God, the life that God has given me where I can make a small difference in someone's heart is the greatest thing that anyone could ever do. And so to be chosen as a messenger, one of the messengers for that is such an extraordinary gift.
Yeah, it's deep, very thought provoking as well. There's a lot of people who are listening in and getting introduced to your concepts for the very first time. I would just say this to everyone too: if you are chasing something, this is coming from me, not from Jim, but if you're chasing something and you're just not tapping into that happiness, it just feels like, you know, you get a short-term sugar rush, but you're still not there yet. There's what I had was this restless feeling. There's some internal work that needs to happen on this. And to that point, now, Jim, to you, for someone who is listening and thinking, you know what? Yeah, my life on the surface, it looks good on Instagram, but it's just vacant. It's not where I need it to be. What would just be one thing they could do today, Jim, that may move them just an inch closer to a different way of thinking and living?
Well, you need to make sure that your success is clear that it's yours. Inner excellence, our goal every day is to learn and grow, and learn and grow in love, wisdom, and courage. I define wisdom as um, to have unobstructed views of connection and possibilities and beauty, and to know who God is and therefore who you are, what He's doing in the world, and how you can join in. And so, pursuing love, wisdom, and courage, and that's the ultimate goal every single day. And within that, the four daily goals of giving the best of what you have each day, being present, being grateful, focusing on your routines and only what you can control. Super important.
It's good. Time out. Jim, I'm looking at the clock. I know we're up against it, so I just got last couple of questions. And I apologize for rushing you here, too. I could talk to you for
No
hours, so
problem.
thank you.
It's
So,
great.
Jim, you're doing a lot in the world. I mean, you have the Inner Excellence Retreat coming up in November in Ensenada, Mexico. Really, really cool. And what is the best way to follow you and everything that you and what's the best way to follow you and everything that you have going on?
Yeah, the newsletter. So I have a newsletter. I share inner excellence principles and ideas, things that I share with my clients. We're going to be going up to, we're going to be starting twice a month here again, which we were doing a few years ago. And so sign up for that on my website, innerexcellence.com. And then if you ever want to reach me, you can also follow me on social media, Inner Excellence, Jim Murphy on Instagram and the other social media outlets.
It's good. You're a great follow on Instagram. I enjoy following you very, very much. Hey, Jim, you may not know this, but at the end of every episode, I ask my guest, what is your I Dare You challenge for all of us? I can't wait for this. What is the one thing that we could do or try to live a better life? So, Jim Murphy, what do you think?
I think mastering your ego is the biggest challenge that we all face in performance and in life. And so there's a question that you can ask yourself every day. Um, well, inner excellence has three principles, and one of them is everyone does the best they can with what they have in their heart. And to ask yourself this question, am I taking this personal? It's one of the biggest obstacles to live an extraordinary life if you take anything personal. But it's human nature to think, people should respect me, and because it all comes down to understanding, well, my greatest need as a human is love, and my greatest fear is rejection of that love. So if I feel disrespected, that's moving towards my greatest fear of rejection. And so there's a huge mistake. One of the fundamental errors in human life is this obsession that we've all had, I think, is the need to be right. Um, if I'm right, if I'm in the right, or I said the right thing, and you're wrong, or you're in the wrong, and you need to know it, and we need to make that clear. And that's a huge mistake, because the number one thing in your life, if you want to live an extraordinary life, is your energy. That's the state of your heart and mind and body, all three working together. The crucial one being your heart, because that has the biggest influence on your mind and body. And what your circumstances are, what other people say, um, that's all just noise. Who you're becoming is the fundamental, most important thing about you, and who you're becoming is really the state of your heart, and every moment it's the state of your energy.
I like it. Thank you for that I Dare You challenge, Jim. Something we can not only think about, but also implement today. So I also want to thank you for being on the I Dare You podcast. Your book, Inner Excellence, game changing. I know you've changed a lot of lives with this book and your interviews, and you did it again here for my audience. So thank you, sir, for being here on the show.
Thanks so much, Darren. I really appreciate you having me.